Noah's phone buzzed at exactly 7:30 that morning. He glanced at the screen, and for a second, just one, his face tightened. Before Avery could ask anything, his thumb swiped fast. Delete. Gone. He placed the phone face down on the table like it burned his fingers. Avery, pouring coffee, caught it from the corner of her eye. "Everything okay?" she asked casually, buttering her toast. Noah didn't look up. "Yeah, just Mom." His tone was flat, dismissive, too casual. Then he added, "Family's doing a little reunion thing this weekend at the lake. Nothing special." Avery froze. Nothing special? The Fletcher family planned potlucks like they were royal weddings. They sent invitations for barbecues. There was no such thing as casual with them. Still, she smiled and said, "That sounds nice. Which lake?" "The usual one, where we went for Dad's birthday." He didn't meet her eyes. He moved toward the coffee maker and added, "Just the old crowd. Golf." "Boring conversations about the stock market. You'd hate it." Avery's smile stayed, but something in her chest tightened, and she didn't know why, but this time, those words felt like a setup. It should have been just another breakfast, the kind they'd shared 100 times before. The smell of toasted bread, the low hum of the coffee machine, Noah flipping through emails, Avery scrolling the weather for the day's plans. But today, something was off. Not loud, just quiet in the wrong places. Noah wasn't smiling like usual. He wasn't humming that stupid jingle from the toothpaste commercial. And when Avery asked which lake again, he hesitated, just a beat too long. She noticed. Her gut noticed. But her mind made excuses. Maybe he's stressed from work. Maybe his mom really is being difficult again. She sipped her coffee, eyes on him. He was staring into his mug like it held answers. "Sounds like a relaxing weekend," she said, finally, her voice light. He nodded, but didn't respond. The silence after that wasn't hostile. It was worse. It was polite. The kind of silence where something is being tucked away, hidden. And yet, she didn't push. Because for 5 years, Avery had taught herself how to trust first, even when her instincts whispered otherwise. So, she smiled. She nodded. She let him go. Not knowing that this was the last normal breakfast she'd ever have with the man she thought she knew. That evening, while chopping vegetables for stir-fry, Avery casually mentioned the ski trip. "Dana and Mel are heading up north for the weekend. Cute little lodge, fireplace, hot chocolate. They asked if I wanted to come." Noah didn't flinch. He just kept slicing the carrots with robotic precision, like each cut kept his focus away from the conversation. "That sounds fun," he said. Still not looking at her, Avery tried again. "They've been planning it for weeks. I was gonna pass, but..." She let her voice trail off, waiting, watching. Then, without missing a beat, he smiled and said, "Perfect. We both get to have fun." And just like that, she was approved, signed off, dismissed. He squeezed her shoulder playfully and moved on to the garlic. It should have felt reassuring, encouraging, supportive. But instead, Avery felt like she'd just been redirected, like someone changing the subject during a conversation that was getting too close to the truth. The words were fine, his tone was light, his hands were busy, but her gut was screaming again, quietly, persistently. And she did what women are trained to do when doubt creeps in. She smiled and packed her ski gear anyway. Avery had been Noah's wife for 5 years, 5 Christmases, 5 birthdays, 5 Mother's Day brunches where she brought flowers and got thank yous with tight smiles, but somehow she'd never really arrived. No one ever said anything cruel. There were no fights, no shouting matches, no slammed doors. Just air. Thin, cold air. Conversations paused when she walked into a room. Inside jokes evaporated mid-sentence. She'd stand there with her wine glass, smiling, nodding as if she belonged. As if she hadn't just interrupted a world where her presence didn't quite fit. They didn't ignore her. That would have been obvious. No, worse, they treated her like a polite inconvenience, like the neighbor's dog that got into the yard again. Tolerated, but never welcomed. She wasn't the villain, but she was never family. Not really. They laughed, they clinked glasses, they posed for pictures in front of holiday trees, backyard grills, perfectly lit dinner tables. And Avery, she was always the one holding the camera, the one offering to take the photo, the one smiling just outside the frame. No one ever said, "Hey, Avery, come in the picture." No one made space for her on the couch during family movies. No one saved her a seat beside Noah during game night. And yet, she never complained. Because polite women don't make scenes. Polite women say, "It's fine." Polite women bring dessert, offer help with dishes, and laugh at jokes they weren't included in. Avery thought, maybe if I just keep showing up, if I'm kind enough, helpful enough, quiet enough, they'll accept me. But 5 years passed, and the welcome never came. Politeness, it turned out, didn't earn love. It only made it easier to erase her. It started with a simple notification. You've been tagged in a photo. Avery was curled up in an armchair at the ski lodge, hot chocolate in hand, cheeks still pink from the slopes. Dana leaned over. "You should post that one I took at the summit. The lighting's perfect." Avery opened her phone, and everything shattered. There it was, a photo from Carol, Noah's aunt, the one who always wore pearls, even to backyard barbecues. Caption, "So proud of my youngest nephew's engagement." Wait, what? Avery's thumb hovered over the screen, heart suddenly pounding. She tapped the photo. It exploded full screen. A chandelier, round tables, floral centerpieces, an elegant venue, a celebration, a night of champagne and diamonds. And standing in the background, smiling, arms around his brother, was Noah, in a tuxedo. Avery blinked. Noah? Her husband? At a formal engagement party? The one she wasn't invited to? The one he never even told her about? Her stomach turned cold. This wasn't just a lie. It was a life he lived without her. Her hand moved before her brain caught up. She tapped his name. Noah calling. Ring, ring, ring. Voicemail. "Hi, you've reached Noah. Leave a message." She didn't. She hung up, stared at her phone. Breath stuck in her chest like a rock. Maybe he didn't hear it. Maybe the music's too loud. Maybe he'll call back. She waited. 30 seconds. Called again. Voicemail. Again. This time, her screen lit up with a text. Can't talk. 2 words. Cold, sharp, final. Not, "I'll call you later." Not, "I'm with family." Not even, "Are you okay?" Just, "Can't talk." Avery stared at those 2 words. They blurred on the screen as tears welled up in her eyes, but not the sobbing kind. These were the kind that burned, the kind that came from humiliation. He lied, and now he was treating her like an interruption, like a stranger, like a mistake. She walked into the lodge's bathroom like she was floating, not up, but down, like gravity had doubled. The mirror above the sink caught her in full. At first glance, she looked the same. Wool hat, rosy cheeks, wind-chapped lips. But her eyes were hollow, as if someone had just blown out the light behind them. Avery gripped the edge of the sink. She didn't cry, not yet. She just stared. Stared at the face of the woman who packed her husband's weekend bag with snacks, clean socks, and a love note. The woman who smiled and said, "Have fun." The woman who believed she was loved. But now, standing under the fluorescent lights of a lodge bathroom, she wasn't that woman anymore. She wasn't Noah's sweet wife. She was the outsider they excluded, the one they never meant to see the truth, the one they erased from the picture on purpose. And, maybe the most painful part, they didn't even think she'd notice. She stared at the screen, thumb hovering over the photo Dana took that morning, Avery against the snow-capped peaks, sunlight catching in her hair, smile soft, eyes peaceful. But behind that calm, a storm was building. She could have said nothing, could have gone skiing, laughed it off, cried in private, but this wasn't just sadness. This was erasure, and erasure deserved a response. She tapped post. Caption: turns out the mountains were more welcoming than some families. No hashtags, no explanations, just the truth wrapped in snow and silence. She didn't tag Noah. She didn't have to, because some messages don't need names. They cut all the same. And somewhere in a ballroom full of crystal and catered lies, someone's phone vibrated. And the perfect engagement night, it cracked. The post was live less than 20 minutes before her phone lit up like fireworks.
Noah, you just had to make a scene, didn't you? You made it public. You made it real. Then came Jamie, his sister. Jamie, what is wrong with you? Are you seriously doing this over one night? Avery read each message in full silence. No reply, no explanation, no defense. She just let them talk, because now they had to squirm in the discomfort of truth. Not a meltdown, not a tantrum, just a mirror held up to the face of a family that preferred optics over honesty.
And for the first time ever, Avery wasn't cleaning up their mess. She was letting them sit in it. It started slow. 1 notification, then 3, then 12. Avery refreshed her inbox and stared. DMs, dozens, from women she didn't know, from usernames she'd never seen. But their words, they felt like home. I thought I was the only one. My husband's family did the same thing to me. Thank you. You said what I've never had the courage to. Strangers, but not strangers at all. Each message, each sentence whispered a truth no one wanted to admit out loud. So many women had been made to feel invisible, and none of them had ever been allowed to say it, until Avery. Until a simple mountain photo and one honest sentence. And suddenly, the woman they tried to erase was being seen by thousands. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't cry. Didn't beg. Avery just stood in the doorway, coat still on, suitcase still in her hand, and asked one simple question. Why didn't you want me there? Noah blinked. For a second, just 1 second, he looked like a boy caught stealing. Then came the deflection, the sideways sigh, the shuffle of blame. It wasn't me, he said. It was Mom. She didn't think you'd fit the vibe. Avery's heart stopped. The vibe. She almost laughed. So this was what it came down to. Not her loyalty. Not her presence. Not the 5 years she'd shown up, smiled, cooked, cleaned, supported, forgave. No, she didn't fit the vibe. Not elegant enough, not perfect enough, not silent enough. Avery looked at him and saw a man who didn't lie to protect her. He lied to protect their image, and he did it without flinching. Avery didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. She looked Noah straight in the eyes and asked the question that had been sitting in her chest for 5 long years. Did you fight for me? Silence. Not the kind that waits, the kind that answers. Noah opened his mouth, closed it, looked at the floor, and in that moment, she knew everything she needed to know. He hadn't argued, hadn't insisted, hadn't stood up to them. He'd just let it happen. Because it was easier. Because conflict made him sweat more than betrayal made him bleed. He hadn't fought for her, not once. He'd let them erase her and handed them the pen. She didn't slam doors. She didn't throw things. She didn't scream, "How could you?" Avery walked upstairs, opened the closet, pulled out the same suitcase she moved in with 5 years ago. The zipper stuck. She didn't force it. She just waited a second, then tried again. It gave way. She began to pack, not in rage, but with clarity. The clothes that were hers, the books she loved, the necklace her grandmother gave her. She didn't take the throw pillows, didn't take the matching mugs, didn't take anything they bought together, only what was hers. Noah stood in the hallway watching. He didn't stop her, didn't beg, didn't fight, because deep down he knew he had already let her go long before she picked up that suitcase. And Avery, she didn't leave to hurt him. She left to finally stop hurting herself. The couch was scratchy, the throw blanket was too short, the pillows didn't match. But to Avery, it felt like safety. Mel's apartment smelled like lavender and coffee. There were potted plants in every corner, sticky notes on the fridge, laughter in the kitchen. Avery didn't have a plan. She had space. And sometimes space is all you need to begin again. 3 days in, she was sipping lukewarm coffee on that lumpy couch when her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost ignored it, but something told her to pick up. Hi, is this Avery Fletcher? This is Jennifer Walsh from Walsh & Associates. We do brand consulting for local firms, and we saw your post. Pause. Avery froze. It's been making rounds, and, well, authenticity like that, it connects. Some of our clients want to talk to you. Have you ever considered marketing consulting? Avery blinked. Was this real? A week ago, she was invisible at her own dinner table. Now, her truth was opening doors, all because she'd stopped hiding it. It started with one message, then 2, then 27. You said what I've never had the courage to say. I thought I was the only one. Your story, it's my story too. Avery scrolled through her DMs with trembling fingers. Strangers, women, mothers, daughters, wives. From Boston to Boise, from Manila to Montreal. Their pains so different in details, but identical in silence. For years they had smiled through rejection, laughed through humiliation, clapped politely while being erased. And now, one photo, one sentence had cracked something open. It wasn't just Avery's truth anymore. It was theirs. And somehow, by finding her voice, she had given thousands of women permission to finally find their own. It came in a white envelope, no return address, but Avery knew exactly who it was from. The handwriting was perfect. Cold, expensive. Like a wedding invitation, except this one arrived a week too late. We just assumed you didn't care much for family events, dear. You always seemed distant, so we didn't think you'd want to be there. Please don't take it the wrong way. No apology, just a justification wrapped in perfume and entitlement. Avery read every word once. Then folded the letter, put it back in the envelope, tucked it in the drawer next to the worn-out gloves she used to wear to their Christmas dinners. She didn't reply, not because she didn't have words, but because she'd already said everything that mattered when she finally chose herself. And sometimes silence is the loudest answer. She didn't come to prove a point. She didn't come to be seen. This time, Avery came for herself. Same mountain, same trail. Same air crisp and cool. But she wasn't the same woman. There was no dramatic pose, no caption, no post waiting to go viral. Just her. Boots pressing into old snow, hair in the wind. A silence so full it felt like music. The pain, still there maybe, but it didn't define her anymore. She stood where the photo was once taken, the one that shattered her silence and echoed through thousands of hearts. But today, she didn't raise a phone. She raised her chin and smiled. Noah had called her dramatic. His mother said she was too sensitive. But here on this mountain, in this stillness, she was finally exactly enough. She stood at the ridge, sunlight breaking through the clouds, and whispered to the wind, I forgive you, but I release you. Not because Noah deserved it, not because his mother changed, but because carrying their weight was never her burden to keep. Every resentment she had held like small, sharp stones, she imagined herself letting them go, one by one, dropping them from her back into the snow. And with each stone gone, she rose, not physically, but something in her soul lifted. Freedom didn't come with a confrontation. It came in a quiet decision to stop drinking the poison they left in her cup. Avery didn't need justice. She needed peace, and she chose it. You don't have to stay where you're only tolerated. Love should never feel like a waiting room where you keep hoping someone will finally call your name. Avery's story reminds us you are not too sensitive for wanting to be respected. You are not dramatic for asking to be included. Sometimes walking away isn't weakness, it's the beginning of your worth finally walking in. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting what they did, it means refusing to let it define who you become. So if you're standing at the edge of your own mountain, know this: you are allowed to choose peace, even if it means walking alone. If Avery's story touched something deep in you, if you've ever felt invisible, uninvited, or unheard, subscribe to our channel, because here we tell the stories that were never meant to be silenced, stories like yours. Tap the bell, leave a comment, and share this with someone who needs to know they are not alone.